Welcome to the SJB Pavilion. We are in Oxford, Mississippi tonight. High-quality matchup following a pretty impressive one you just saw a moment ago. Mississippi State taking down Tennessee. It is Florida and it is Ole Miss in Oxford tonight. The Rebels on the board after Musa Cisse, starting his first game as a Rebel, tips that one back in.
And that's good news right there for Ole Miss to see Musa Cisse getting on the offensive glass, showing some physicality for the Rebels early on.
This should be a fun one. You see, there is Todd Golden starting five. That's the five for Florida today. Typical starting unit now with pulling into the starting lineup of late. With Richard Hendricks, the former Alabama star, Kevin Fitzgerald with you tonight. This is a high-quality matchup. Even at this juncture in the season, we have two tournament-caliber teams. Reasonable to suggest that for both. And here is Tyrese Samuel at the line for Florida with a 1-point lead.
Well, second game in the season for both of these teams in conference play. But even though it's early on, it's very important that you get a quality win to try to create some momentum. Tyrese Samuel's off to a good start for Florida, getting a strong drive and drawing the foul. He'll be a very important piece for the Gators today.
The Gators, Richard, as you know, have a lot of size. Samuel is one of four players that are 6'10" or taller, and all four of those aforementioned bigs, they get a lot of minutes. This is the starting five for Ole Miss, Morrell and Flanagan. They average combined more than 32 points per game. They each go for more than 16 tonight. Jalen Brakefield has been on fire of late, and he hits the 18-footer to get his night start.
And he's a great compliment to that backcourt. You talk about the efficiency that he's been playing with in recent games. When he's giving you big-time production, Ole Miss is hard to beat.
He's averaging close to 20 his last five. There's a step-back jumper on the baseline. That's Zion pulling. You know, he's very smooth, steady on the floor.
That was a lot of poise on that move, taking it in the mid-range.
Okay, Brakefield said, I'll keep the pivot foot.
Jamin Brakefield, once again, you talk about great moves in the low post.
Looks like a goaltend, yeah.
And that's going to have to be a point of emphasis for Ole Miss. Scores the basket, but he doesn't get back in defensive transition.
Chris Beard, first season as the head coach at Ole Miss. He picked up his 250th win on New Year's Eve. 2019 National Coach of the Year at Texas Tech when he led the Red Raiders to the national championship game. So he is the skipper here for a rejuvenated Ole Miss team that started 13-0. Their lone loss Saturday against Tennessee. It was not an impressive performance, according to the head coach. Wants a lot more physicality today against his Florida team.
No, it wasn't, but his resume speaks for himself. You know, you talk about doing big-time things at a lot of different programs, and he has Ole Miss rolling early on in his tenure.
Florida back on this end of the floor with a 1-point lead. Just getting started inside the SJB Pavilion. Really important early SEC battle between these two. Florida was out of bounds on the baseline, and so ball back to Ole Miss.
A really rowdy atmosphere here in the pavilion, and that's something that Florida's going to have to weather early on in this game. They know, when we spoke to Coach Golden early on, that they're going to have to do a really good job of understanding that the crowd is going to be a hot gym in here. They're going to have to do a good job early on to sustain the blows.
When they fill this place up, it's always a pretty intense atmosphere. You just saw the 38-year-old from Phoenix, youngest head coach in the SEC. He won at San Francisco, got the job here in Gainesville ahead of last season. Brakefield on the move again. Cut off by Samuel, so Morrell rescues him with 5 on the shot clock. Sharp sets the screen. Morrell has to hoist. That's a deep one. And the step back is long. Samuel down with another rebound.
Tough shot from Morrell right there under 5 seconds. Might want to make sure you go right to your isolation game instead of bringing the pick and roll into the fold.
How about that length of Sharp? He deflected the pass. Flanagan picks it up and draws the foul. So Al Flanagan, always in attack mode, at the line when we return. Pulling, very steady. Great offensive initiator. Clayton's explosive. These two transfers have revamped his offense this year.
Well, they play well off of each other.
Yeah.
You know, they're both really good guards. but Clayton a little bit more of a combo. But when he gives the chance to give the ball to Pullen and let him run the show, that allows Clayton to play off the ball where he can be more creative and from a scoring standpoint. But Pullen still has the ability to manage the team and then fill it up when he needs to.
Richard, that duo, they both went for 23. In the 87-85 loss, it was an excruciating one to Kentucky on Saturday. We talked to Todd Golden. He says, you know, that sort of game on Saturday, we got to find a way to break through this year and close the door in a game in which they had an 8-point lead at half.
Well, that was a game where Florida definitely controlled the game against the Cats all game long.
Oh, wow. How about the 7'6" Jamarion Sharp? So we got a couple of blocks now, and that's Flanagan in attack mode again. It's 12-8 lead, make it 10-8 lead for Ole Miss.
That's beautiful end-to-end basketball. Jamarion Sharp rotating over with the rejection and turning defense into offense.
Sharp, very valuable player this year for Ole Miss due to the size and the length. There's Clayton.
Strong drive by Clayton, too. Strong athletic finish.
A junior from Lake Wales, Florida, going for nearly 16 a game. Jamin Brakefield hit his first basket in the early minutes. Backing down Condon, turns, that one bounces through.
Beautiful patience in the low post. Turning towards the middle, kick back, fade away, and finding the bottom of the cup. When you give Jamin Brakefield some ability to operate in the low post, he can do damage.
Meanwhile, Poland answers. 23 on Saturday was a season high. As Brandon Murray off the bench and into the game for the first time. Morrell contested jumper. Sharp got his hand on it. Will Richard comes away with the rebound for Florida.
Good job by Brakefield right there, stopping the transition of offense. Ole Miss going to have to do a much better job of getting back in transition defense because Florida's looking to run.
Clayton on the baseline.
Beautiful
smooth jumper.
Beautiful play by Florida. Came down, reversed the ball to the other side of the court. Clayton taking it off the bounce at the mid-range J.
There is a bit of a contrast today, right? You mentioned Florida wants to run. Ole Miss likely to use a bit more of the shot clock.
Ole Miss is going to have to make this game physical against Florida because Florida's trying to play in space and get out and do things like that.
Like Walter Clayton Jr. is feeling it in the early minutes.
Yes, he is. Wow.
He's coming up on 1,000 career points, by the way, as just a junior. And Clayton has been a scoring alpha for Florida this year. Flanagan triggers the jumper. Might have had a foot on the line. Brakefield comes away with the offensive board. Brakefield, that one's down and out. And hand locked and comes away with the board.
Look at Florida's coaching staff telling Florida to get off to the races and go, as they've gotten one of that they call a kill, getting 3 defensive stops in a row. Clayton lining one up from the bounce from the outside, knocking down the beautiful 3 for his 1,000th career point.
It's official now. He needed 9 to hit that mark. So Walter Clayton Jr. in the 15th game of this season has 1,000 for his career. Remember, he spent 2 years at Iona, played for Rick Pitino, won the MAC Player of the Year award a season ago. Maybe Todd Golden's best recruiting job. Walter Clayton Jr. was trying to figure out where do I go, Florida or St. John's. Todd Golden beats Rick Pitino to the punch on this one.
Made his way back home, but you know he's been well coached when he's playing for the legend Rick Pitino, but a tough-minded guard.
Morrell down with the Clayton miss. In a hurry to the bucket. Got it. Matt Morrell.
There's an end-to-end athleticism of Matthew Morrell, taking it all the way, taking on, challenging the shot blocker, and finishing in the paint.
Ole Miss's 13-1 mark by no means empty calories. They got a couple of great wins against Memphis and NC State. That win against Memphis in this building, that's going to go a long way. After the Riley Kugel miss, Rebels back on this end of the floor. Flanagan into the paint. Off balance that time on the jumper.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, Ole Miss with some really good wins and some close wins throughout the duration of this season.
Yeah, a lot of very thrilling ones that went down to the wire. Samuel going back to the free throw line.
Well, Matthew Burrell, one of the more athletic guards in the Southeastern Conference, with his end-to-end basketball, taking on the contact and finishes it in the paint. When he's playing at a high level with his elite athleticism and playmaking ability, he's one of the tougher guards to cover in the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, really dynamic scorer. And this has been a career year for him. He's only gotten better as each year has unfolded. This is his fourth year in Oxford. Meanwhile, Samuel misfires his first at the line. Burrell takes a seat. Musha Cisse, by the way, just picked up his second foul. So he's got 2, not yet 8 minutes through. Samuel has struggled at the line, though he has been valuable in so many other areas on the floor. Great rebounder. Matter of fact, he leads the league in rebounding his first year at Florida after coming over from Seton Hall.
He's definitely amongst the elite bigs in the conference, playing really good. Did not have one of his typical performances last outing against the Tennessee Volunteers, but he's looking to be a little bit more aggressive today.
Murray, that's Brandon Murray. Splashes the little floater. Even after Condon had knocked that one free. Samuel to the basket. That one blocked by Sharp. Sharp is having a huge impact in the early minutes of this one.
7'5" with the rim protection. Marion Sharp doing his job. When he gets the ball and when he gets it, he makes really quick decisions. When he can get it, he drives right past you to the cup. And when he goes, he's looking to score and looking to gain some contact. And if he gets a crease, he's not afraid to let it fly from deep.
He's really explosive. Meanwhile, Ole Miss down 2, coming up on the halfway mark of the first half. This, we thought, was going to be a very compelling and fun one. It's a 2-point game in the early goings. There's a foul on the way in. That's the first foul on the freshman Thomas Houck.
I think Ole Miss might have found something feeding Jamin Brakefield in the low post. You isolate him, give him a little bit of a space to let him operate before cutting through. He seems to might be able to find a look to get a clean one.
Now we got a moving screen. Sharp whistled for his first, so ball back to the Gators. Well, Clayton has the 9, and yeah, on the other side, Brakefield with a quick 7 to start. He's 3 of 5 from the floor. Chris Beard's team started 13-0. And again, picked up impressive wins in this building against Memphis. I think that's a Final Four caliber team. And NC State also won on the road at Central Florida. Kugel can't get it to go from deep. Well, just that length right there on display for Florida. Condon got his hand on it, gets his team a second, now third look.
And this is where you see the strength of the Gators. Their rebounding ability is something that they know they have an advantage against Ole Miss. And they're getting it done early at their own will.
What does Kugel want to do? Out to Houck, launches. Condon going to get whistled there for the over the back. So Alex Condon, that's the freshman from Perth, Australia. He is having a sensational rookie year. Whistled for his first.
He's very talented, great size and agility. He can score in the post. He can catch and finish. He can shoot a little bit from the outside. As he continues to grow and get better and better, he's going to definitely be a force in this league.
6.5 rebounds a game as well. Only plays about 19, 20 minutes. Ole Miss trying to take advantage of some of Florida's misfortune on the other end. TJ Caldwell dribbling now. It's number 2 in the white. Freed himself up underneath. Marshall got blocked. Houck pinned that one off the backboard. Florida coming the other way. In the corner, Denzel Aberdeen, no.
Shots are going in and out for Florida. They've had several clean looks on the last few possessions, not able to make one drop.
And they've missed their last 3. Started 7 of 12 from the field. There's Jalen Murray. He's been Ole Miss's starting point guard this year. Follows his own miss. Nicely done. Jalen Murray has proved that he can score at this level, averaging 14.5 a game, the transfer from St. Peter's.
He's a fearless guard. He's battle-tested. He's played on high-level basketball games.
He was on that Elite 8 team a couple of years ago. Kugel, D9 at the rim. So Florida Gets a little bit of its own medicine coming back its own way there.
That's a beautiful rejection right there. Understanding where the ball is going and beat them on the other side. Riley Cool on the backdoor cut, but knowing where he's going across to the reverse and the rejection, beautiful shot blocking skills.
Brandon Murray, you know, the 7-footers get all the attention. Sharp and Cisse. Brandon Murray joining the block party, so Ole Miss has blocked 3. They have been one of the best shot blocking teams in the nation. Takeoff and a lay-in at the rim. Nice drive that time by Flanagan.
And a really good design play by Ole Miss coming out of that short break there. Getting Flanagan coming off the handoff with a full head of steam going downhill.
That's a great option for Ole Miss. That is in Flanagan's repertoire. Richard, the Rebels are on a little 6-0 run. Brakefield floats it up, count it, and the foul. Brakefield at the line for one more.
Such a crafty game he has. He gets a little bit of an advantage on you as he's able to dribble and get a little bit of head and shoulder by you, up in the air before you get off the ground, off the backboard. Beautiful drive there and finished by Jamin Brakefield.
He has been on a rampage of late. He's got a couple of 20-point games this season. He's averaging 19.5 a game his last 5.
Shooting 67% in the last 5 games. On fire. He has outstanding touch around the basket, and he's comfortable with a lot of people around him. It gives him the ability to be able to score in the low post in that mid-post area.
After the free throw, Ole Miss on a 9-0 run. Pulling off balance, fall away, rebound down to Brakefield. Morrell buffs the 3. Fall away, no. He passed up the 3s, the noted marksman, and instead took the jumper on the baseline. Florida looking to put an end to this run. Pullen lobs it up. Hand logs it. It was caught too far underneath, but he stuck with it.
Wow, did you see the block by Jalen Murray coming in from the backside, V backing in and rejecting it?
This is his shot. Murray, book it.
Walk-up 3s by Jalen Murray. You can see the confidence, getting the crowd into it. Ole Miss looking to get a stop here. Doing a really good job defensively, trying to keep Florida out of the paint.
Clayton, the reverse, Sharp. Oh, just erases that one. Ole Miss with some numbers. Murray, one dribble, puts it up, and puts it in. 15 seed, make it all the way to the Elite 8. He was a very reliable player on that year's squad. Last year he was a starter. Recognizes his value, hits the portal. Chris Beard said he was undoubtedly one of the most overlooked players perhaps in the portal. He was happy to take him and bring him on to run the show here and basically become a point guard, a true point guard for the first time in his career. Oh, big time lob up to Samuel. Nice look from Clayton.
And that's an outstanding design play coming out of the timeout. Florida freeing up Tyrese Samuel for the alley-oop. And back on the other end with Jalen Murray, you talk about, his ability to shoot from the outside. But, a tough kid coming from New York, coach from Shaheen Holloway playing at when he was at St. Peter's, now at Seton Hall. So he understands how to play quality point guard position because he's learned from one of the better ones in the game. But he brings that experience to this Ole Miss team. And one thing when you talk to head coach Chris Beard, he talks about what he looks for in the transfer portal is winners. And he definitely has one there in Murray.
He's had a great start. As has Walter Clayton Jr. He is ripping some cord in the early goings of this one. Walter Clayton Jr. with 12. Murray's got it now, and he was looking for Brakefield. Didn't quite cut the direction he thought he would. Morrell offline that time. Matt Morrell hasn't had really a great clean look yet outside of the layup at the rim.
There's Clayton teeing one up from the outside. Once again, beautiful shot, nothing but net. He's going to hit a few of those to get his Gators back into it. They've done a good job of making the adjustment after the break. The design play for the alley-oop and Clayton knocking down a 3, and here they are back on offense.
He's already got 4 20-point games this year, and here he is with a dozen at the 6-minute mark in the first. A couple of high-level teams. Backdoor cut, that pass taken away by Morrell.
Good recognition by Matthew Morrell.
Murray, yeah, triple is good. You know, Matt Morrell defensively has always been so strong, so his defense leads to the offense.
It is, and those are one of those things that kills coaches. Head coach Todd Golden, you got the design play from the backdoor layup, you get it stolen, three-pointer on the other end, potential 5-point swing there, but back to him, really good action. Coming again on the counterattack, and Florida's able to get a bucket.
Nice shot making in this first half, Richard. Both teams better than 45% from the floor. Brakefield, close range look, got it.
Oh, and he's looking at him saying, you're too little. He's got his man on an island, and they have the matchup they want. Give the ball to Jamin Brakefield on that block and let him operate.
He's got 12. It's Ole Miss by 7. Looking for a big signature conference win. Clayton draws the foul, and he's going to the free throw line for a couple.
Savvy move right there by Walter Clayton Jr.
That's the first foul on Brakefield. And so Clayton at the line in a moment. So Thursday we've got another women's hoops doubleheader. It begins with Florida visiting Knoxville to take on the Lady Vols, winners of 5 straight. That one's Thursday on the SEC Network, also streaming live on the app. They've won 5 in a row. Welcome back, Rickea Jackson.
And that's the big reason why you talk about one of the best players, not just in the SEC, but in the entire country. Rickea Jackson can do it on the inside, scoring, shooting from the perimeter, and rebounds. She's a big-time star for the Lady Vols.
So Florida took a 17-12 lead, Richard, and then Ole Miss went on a 17-3 run after that. Ole Miss has had a lead ever since. Morrell underneath. Yeah, stays composed and scores.
Composed is exactly the word. Caught a good bounce there on the ball being saved out on the baseline. Good shot fake, got his defender up in the air and finishes.
Condon spins, going up on Brakefield, got it to go.
Good patience there on the blow block by Condon.
Florida has some great skilled bigs. Approaching the 4-minute mark. This is Murray in trouble. Whole bunch of black jerseys around him. Flanagan trying to beat Condon off the dribble. Murray nearly lost it. Improvising now with 6 to shoot on the shot clock. Murray knifes in, floats it up, rebound down to Condon. Freshman pushes it across the timeline and now waits for Pullen. Florida down 6.
Important possession right here for the Gators.
And Condon getting held that time by Murray. There was the mismatch. Just trying to have a good day, that's all.
But speaking of bombs, they've been shooting them here today in the pavilion from the outside with this dynamic guard play.
Yeah. Speaking of bombs, the callers at Feinbach tomorrow. That'll be fun. Florida down 6 in Oxford this evening. This has been an entertaining first half. Oh, Murray with his second block of the day. Brandon Murray has blocked 2 shots. And he wiped away the Pullen jumper as the shot clock was dwindling.
And Brandon Murray has beautiful shot blocking instincts. If you look at the 2 shot blocks that he had, understanding where he had to meet the ball going to the rim on the reverse layup, and then understanding time and situation with the shot clock going down and meeting him on the jump.
Murray, remember, this is only just his 6th game. He's one of those 2-time transfers, became eligible in mid-December. Brakefield, paging Ron Slay. That's now 14 for Brakefield.
Give it to him. I mean, listen, this has got to be your offense at this. When you got a guy who's a weapon, who understands that he has a mismatch when anybody's guarding him, in his sweet spots, you got to ride him. And that's what he's been able to do right now for the Rebels.
This is a much better shot-making half for Ole Miss. They were very cold in that first half Saturday against Tennessee. Went into the break down 9. They ultimately lost by 26. It was quite a lopsided one. Clayton off the window. Really savvy in the paint around the rim. You mentioned that before.
He is. He understands angles, knows how to get his players off balance, and then he can use his athleticism to explode to get the advantage at the last second.
Clayton. Rebound down to Houck. Threw it away. Brakefield behind the back. Brakefield to the rim. Tap back. Nope. Wouldn't get it to go. That was Caldwell. So now Florida in a hurry this way. The Gators had a 5-point lead a few minutes into the game. And then Ole Miss went on a dramatic 17-3 run to take a lead, and they have held that lead since about the midway mark of the first. Free throws on this end for the Gators. So this is undoubtedly a rejuvenated team after they got pounded on Saturday. Flanagan whistled for his first. Zion Pullen, fifth-year senior from California. He was playing way above the competition the last couple of years in the Big West. He was at UC Riverside, where he was a two-time all-conference selection. Scored 18 a game last year. Yeah, you can see he's bulky, wide, brawny, kind of linebacker size.
It's the maturity.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times when you try to get into the portal, it benefits you to get older and to get older quickly.
Yeah.
If you can go and get a veteran player who can come in and bring some poise, some experience, understands pressure moments, then it can make your team better instantly. And pulling in as an example of that, Todd Golden's done a good job of utilizing the portal to get some quality players.
Flanagan has not been a huge impact on the offensive side of the floor. He and Morrell are combined 4 of 12 from the floor. However, guys like Murray, Brakefield, they have stepped up in the scoring department, and Chris Beard's team has a 4-point edge. After the foul, though, Alex Condon is at the free throw line.
Definitely beneficial for Ole Miss to have balanced scoring, even though you have players who are definitely taking on a lot of the scoring load. Anytime you can go deeper into your roster and have more scoring depth, it only makes you more dangerous. And this is the area that Florida's going to need. They're going to have to make sure that they can knock down some free throws. Been struggling a little bit in recent games, knocking down shots at the charity stripe. You got to be able to get some points when the clock is being stopped. It's an important last 1 minute and 32 seconds here in the half, because both teams have been playing with runs.
It really is eerie. They get to the free throw line at an incredibly high rate, and yet you're right, they're just 65% at the line as a team. That is, 15 games in, that's pretty low, relatively speaking. However, Condon gets it done, and so it's a 2-point game. Morrell, jump stop, leaner, hits the fall away. That's Matt Morrell doing some work in the paint. Condon got the size advantage, trying to spin on Morrell. Murray whistled for the reach-in. And so Condon goes back to the free throw line. That's the second on Murray.
Murray got a little bit of arm there on that reach-in. But Florida does a really good job of understanding when they have mismatches and throwing it into the post, trying to play on the inside out. Condon drawing the foul, back to the line, shooting again.
Again, these 7, they don't just have the size, they have the skill as well around the basket. They all have great motors when it comes to rebounding, getting their hands on loose basketballs. And once poked, who was it last touched by? Ole Miss basketball.
And you touched a little bit about them all having the skill, and that's a good thing to see in today's game. You can tell about the skill development that they have working with players, particularly in the low post. It's many times when players have the size advantage, do not have the low post back-to-back ability to take advantage of it. But you can see when Florida gets the mismatch, they throw it inside.
Flanagan attacks. He's going to the free throw line. He earns himself a pair. Saturday, our quadruple header begins at 1 Eastern. Our signature matchup features the 2-0 LSU Tigers, 2-0 in league play to start, visiting Auburn. The 16th ranked Tigers Saturday, 6 Eastern here on the network. Auburn with the resounding win over Arkansas over the weekend. Janai Broom blocked 4 more shots last night and a win against Texas A&M, so they're 2-0.
And there's another guy you want to talk about, fish in the studio. Janai Broom, one of the premier low-post players in the SEC, who's been off to a really good start and doing it only 23 minutes average for the team. So when he gets the ball, very efficient, gets the business, and Auburn looking like a really good team.
Yeah, the all-big man team. You mentioned Tolu Smith. We got Tyrese Samuels playing at an all-conference level. The 5th-year senior forward for Florida in this game. So timeout with 51 seconds to go in the first half. It's Ole Miss by 6. Again, the Rebels went on a 17-3 run to take a lead right around the midway mark of the first. They haven't relinquished the lead yet. Florida, as of a few moments ago, cut it back to a 2-point game most recently.
Still a lot of time left in this game. Both teams have definitely made their surges when they needed to. Still trying to fill each other out. But it's been a good one so far.
Yeah, this felt like this was going to be a pretty evenly matched, entertaining battle. You've got Chris Beard, he's been coaching for many years. Todd Golden, a first-time head coach. This is his second season as the head man at Florida. Both coaches, I think, would say the same thing. They have revamped rosters. This year did some fine work in the offseason. Condon, he's always in the right spot at the right time. Could not put that one back up and in. And there's a foul.
A good call there. Caught there on the baseline.
I'm in the middle of binge watching The Wire. It was top of mind. It was top of mind, okay? Counts from New Oxford, Pennsylvania. You know, underrated three-star recruit has had a valuable role in the rotation this year for Florida.
He's done a really good job. You see the activity and the energy he comes in and plays with. That's an important factor that you need on quality teams, players who come in and do a lot of the dirty work.
He's got a lot more athletic ability than Dominic Lombardozzi, all due respect to the HBO actor.
I'm going to have to do a little binge watching myself and catch up on that.
Well, and you can watch yourself in Silicon Valley as well.
They got a character of me out there? What does he do?
There is a Richard Hendricks.
Really?
I just found out about in that show. Murray off the window. That one falls through. Brandon Murray has given Chris Beard some really valuable minutes in his first half.
Offensively, defensively, stepped in and doing a really good job.
6-point lead, 7 seconds first half. One last shot for Florida. Pulling high off the glass. Got it to go. Florida goes into the break down 4.
Doing their thing with electric plays and hitting shots in big moments. There's been a lot of moments when Florida has tried to get back in this game, and Ole Miss has done a good job of keeping them at bay.
That duo stepped up when Flanagan and Morrell were a bit quiet for portions of that first half. I mean, and that quartet for the Rebels, they have shown all 4 are valuable, can be go-to scorers at any moment. How about this post battle? Samuel and Cisse barging into one another. Morrell came and knocked that one free. Possession arrow favors the Rebels.
And that's a good job there, Morrell, digging down as Tyrese Samuel was trying to go one-on-one. When you have one-on-one, you have to understand where all of the help players spot where they are when they dig down on you, dime the player from the outside, create an advantage for another rotation and an easy basket.
Turnover is not a huge factor in that first half. 7 for Florida, that's all. You know, Ole Miss only gave it away twice in that first half. They're one of the best teams in the country at taking care of the basketball. And look out if Matt Morrell starts hitting his silky smooth jumper.
And that was a nice J, stepping back into the mid-range. That's a very, very tough shot.
Let's see how Florida responds. Tanlogged in big-to-big pass. That's Samuel.
And that's how you play right there in the low post. He makes sure to have a smaller player, Flanagan, on him. He did his work, pushed him up the lane, held his position while the ball was in flight and let it drop into his hand, and they got the easy deuce.
That's a deep post catch there for Cisse. That was good night. Turnover. Breakfield, the throwdown.
Breakfield. Beautiful recognition, doubling back with the pick and the slam.
Ole Miss has opened up its largest lead of the evening. It's an 8-point cushion. So they start the second half with a couple of baskets. Clayton gets fouled, and he's going to the line for one more.
Good drive there by Clayton. Had a little bit of a seam and took it all the way to the cup. But this is what I really enjoy watching is high IQ, cerebral basketball, and you've been able to see a little bit of it on the first few plays of the game. You're talking about, or the second half rather, Samuel doing a good job pushing his man up the lane. Good pass, pinpointed over the top, lays it in. Cisse with the duck in on the other side. Breakfield, reading the situation, doubling back in the pick. Basketball is played from the shoulders up. Understand how to read the situation, think about it, and use your skill set when it applies.
There's a surplus of the aforementioned veterans on the floor. All those players you mentioned, seniors, fifth years. A lot of experience on both ends, both teams. Oh, that's Flanagan. Pretty shot.
That is falling away on the baseline, spotting where the double team's coming. That's just beautiful.
Richard. Nope. Will Richard struggled from deep against Kentucky. Didn't hit a shot from beyond the arc. And has not made one today. Nice shot by Pullen to jar that one free. That's the third Ole Miss turnover. Pullen blocked. What's the call? Goaltend. Brian Dorsey says goaltend. So, you know, that's a tough one. The basket, the follow does not count because they called the goaltend. So if you're Florida, you get those 2 points. But they can go to the monitor at the under 16 to determine whether or not that was a goaltend. That was very close.
Very close. He might have got it timed perfectly. But it was the other end. Head coach Chris Beard was really upset. He felt like there was a reach-in on Jamin Brakefield when he had the isolation on the elbow.
Brakefield blocked by Handlocked, and then a pile-up. A couple of players go tumbling. That's going to stay here. Now, again, going back to that prior sequence, let's take a look at the recent block.
Dan Loudman, really good job keeping the verticality. See a set baseline out of bounds action. See what Ole Miss will have dialed up.
Murray bounces it down to Flanagan. He spins into the double, flings it back out. That's over Murray's head and out of bounds. So ball back to Florida.
Flanagan just in a couple of possessions prior handled that same situation, throwing it to him to the low post when he was on the left block. Handled it well, fell away to the baseline for his jump shot. It's something you have to work on, having counters going both ways to feel equally comfortable wherever you are on the court, even around pressure.
I mentioned that turnover number. Ole Miss gave it away just twice in the first half. They've done so 2 times in the first 3 minutes of the second. Pullen is very crafty, very clever around the rim. Could not convert that time. Cisse pulls down his third rebound. Brakefield with the right-hand dribble. Trying to go to work on Handlockton. Backs him down. Got him up in the air. Count it!
Oh.
No! Is it before the shot? Count the basket! Brakefield at the line for one more.
Absolutely. And he's putting on a show. This is absolute clinic right here. Brakefield. 2 pump fakes. Get the body into the air. Give you a little bit. 1 fake. 2 fake. Get a little bit of contact off the glass and 1. It's outstanding. Jalen Brakefield's letting you know.
I second guess myself. If it's the NBA, it's a guarantee and 1. Sometimes a little tricky there in the college game. It's a second foul on Handlockton, and Ole Miss back ahead by 8.
And jumping in a little bit of a press.
You like it?
Yes.
Early you forced the 5-second count.
It's very close.
Poland and the Gators, they have been playing from behind since about the midway mark of the first. Walter Clayton Jr. got his own miss. 1 dribble, has it underneath, into Cisse, tapped back up by Handlockton. 1 more. Ole Miss has it. Murray on the run out. Brakefield calling for it. Murray into the paint. Brakefield sets the feet. Yeah! Jamin Brakefield giving him a little MJ shrug.
Who knew? Jamin Brakefield knew. Has the hot hand, stroking it from deep.
Clayton responds with a critical triple, and Todd Golden is going to say enough of this momentum. He calls the timeout. He went for 22 in the loss against Tennessee. So in the last game and a half, essentially, he's 16 of 21 from the floor. That's better than 75%. Highly effective and efficient.
Well, you can tell that the way that he plays, he reads the game very, very well, and his mind is moving. It's a little bit faster as how he processes what's going on than everybody else on the court.
Ole Miss turns it over, and they have not turned it over very often. from one vantage point, you could say maybe this lead could be larger. Well, there's a turnover on this side of the floor. Murray, open. Brakefield skies in for the board. Caught underneath, patiently waiting for something to develop. Ole Miss trying to cash in after the takeaway. This is Morrell. That's hacked. Going to the line for two. So early in this second half, we've seen Ole Miss with the backcourt pressure. That time it works.
Yeah, they did. And Florida's got to do a much better job of their press breaker situation. You understand, coming out of timeouts, coming out of breaks, you see that they have the press set up. Do a better job of setting quality screens in the backcourt, freeing up your man, and getting the ball and then bringing it up and getting it into your offense with confidence.
Here's what Matt Morrell has done the last few games. He, too, has been very productive. Going for close to 18 per game. Jamie Brakefield is, for a moment, they're speaking with Chuck Jones on the baseline. And one of the in-arena staff folks underneath the basket. We're wiping down the basketball. So Morrell converts the first at the line. It's been a renaissance for Morrell, the senior from right up the road. Went to Whitehaven High. It's right outside of Memphis, where he has been a effective player his entire time at Oxford. This year playing for a winning team. His head coach wants him to impact winning in a lot of ways just outside of scoring. He's done that defensively.
There's a lot of player with so much athleticism. There's been a lot of NBA draft radars, and he even tested the water. And athletically tested out as one of the best players in that particular combine with a 41.5-inch vertical leap.
There's a tie-up after the miss. Possession arrow favors Florida. So the Gators will keep it. Now, Todd Golden a moment ago was begging for a whistle when Condon went up for a layup. Getting the explanation now from Todd Austin.
This baseline out-of-bounds opportunity is important for Florida. They really have to dial up something. Down 10, you got to get a good, clean shot. Try to get yourself back into striking distance.
Biggest deficit Florida has faced today. Walter Clayton Jr. Now it's Poland's got it. 6 to shoot. Into the paint. The pull-up. Offline that time. And then there's a foul underneath. Cisse collided with Condon. Looked like he gave him a bit of a shove there. So that's the third foul on Cisse. And Florida gets a new 20. And they keep it here on this end of the floor.
A little push in the back. And Condon did a pretty good job of selling that after he was able to take the hit. Knew he wasn't going to get the rebound.
Poland inbounds. Turnover, another giveaway. Samuel threw it away. Flanagan on the drive, and it's a block. Will Richard whistled for the blocking foul.
And a good call there by the official. Richard not with his feet set, getting back in transition, moving a little bit as he took the hit.
Yeah, Flanagan looked like he was basically shuffling away. It certainly didn't look like offensive initiated contact. So Murray to inbound. The Rebels nursing their largest lead of the evening in a critical early conference season battle between Florida and Ole Miss. Flanagan, that's good. Pretty fall away.
There he is, showing that fall away from the opposite side. That patented fall away jumper by Alan Flanagan.
Into double figures for a 7th straight game. And Florida is searching for answers. Sharp! Denies pulling. Ole Miss has numbers. Murray into the paint. Over to Morrell. Puts it up. Puts it in. A big triple to ignite the pavilion.
and then erasing it with the shot blocking ability. Not just with Sharp, but the entire team.
Now look at that. 8 blocks as a team tonight. 8. And Sharp has 4. He's the NCAA.
And look at Sharp out here playing defense, and here's the half court.
Let's see.
Oh,
he gets another. There's a foul, though. Boy, he is locked in right now.
Listen, now that's right there. The roof would have exploded off of this building right there. 7'5". They switch off on you, and here you are sitting down trying to play D and recovering almost with the rejection.
Flanagan, though, fouls Pullen. That's the second on Flanagan, and Zion Pullen is going to the line. Jamarion Sharp, 5th-year senior from Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Spent the last couple of years at Western Kentucky. He is the NCAA's blocks leader, the active blocks leader of all players playing college basketball right now. But he's only played 3 years of Division I, so in only after 2.5 years, he is the active blocks leader. The folks behind him have played 4 or 5 years. Murray lob it up. Oh! The sledgehammer from Sharp!
Wow. Sharp making his presence known. And he's agile for 7'5".
Clayton in the corner. Use the ball fake. Burrell comes down with the rebound. It is all Ole Miss right now. And now there's a foul on Florida.
The alley-oop. Jamarion Sharp going up high and slamming it home.
That was his first basket of the evening, so you can see his value. He doesn't have to score a whole bunch of points to be valuable. It's more about the rebounding. It's about the block shots and the lane protection that he provides.
Well, that's what you need to do. Players need to understand. Be a star in your role. Jamarion Sharp understands. They have a lot of scorers on this Ole Miss team. They can move the ball around. He's not particularly a back-to-the-basket, low-post player, but when he can be active on the defensive end, blocking shots, rebounding, running the floor, setting quality screens, he becomes a really good big attribute to the depth of this Ole Miss team. And when he can get rewarded after his hard work and get a dunk like that.
Oh, Flanagan has hit that fall-away several times in the baseline. Richard, Ole Miss has totally taken command of this one in the last 5 minutes.
Yes, they have, and that's what I like to see. Alan Flynn, that was Jordan-esque with the fall-away J on the baseline.
He's got 12. He's certainly a next-level player in his own right. I think garnering a lot of attention from the next at the next level, if you will.
But you know, an interesting thing also to talk about the poise of this Ole Miss team, the veteran leadership. You know, if you look at the coaching style of Chris Beard, a lot of times you'll always see many coaches are always up, marching up and down the sideline. He takes a seat. He watches this team. He challenges his team. He has a philosophy, believes that coaches should coach and players play. And he lets them figure it out. And you can see the veteran play showing up for the Ole Miss Rebels.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Sharp picks up his 5th block. Aberdeen falls. Morrell buries it.
Wow. Looked at him, dropped him, and dropped a tray ball. Matthew Morrell feeling it.
It is a second-half explosion for the Rebels. They have completely taken this one over. Aberdeen into the paint, lays it up, not that time. Condon, the follow, tip back in. And it looked like Will Richard was the one who got his hand on that one. It was a 4-point game at half, Richard. And look, there's still 11:40 to go. But you can see this one has gotten lopsided very quickly.
As I mentioned earlier, it was an important moment at the 10-point ball game that Florida would need to find a little bit of offense. The flow of the game seemed that Ole Miss really had it going, and they've done just that and taken it to another level.
Murray has 5 to shoot. He's got to improvise. Uses the screen. Dribbled it off his foot. Hauk up ahead to Richard. Takes it in. Condon. He gets denied by Sharp. Another rejection. Condon sticks with it, and the foul. Alex Condon would not be denied that time. A critical basket for Florida. You know, they blocked 8 in that win against Memphis. They blocked the 10 in the win against Memphis. They blocked 9 against NC State. So this is a regularity for Ole Miss.
Well, the impressive things about Jamarion Sharp's blocks are not just the fact that he's a 7'5" center, and he's not just sitting in the paint.
Yeah.
This man is switching on defense, coming out on guards, out on the perimeter. He's hedging on the pick and rolls, and he's recovering, coming from the weak side to block shots in chase down block fashion. So it's not just about him just standing there. It's the range that he really has, and that's a very tough thing to play against when you don't know where he's coming from.
These Florida bigs have been very impactful this year for the Gators. However, it's been a tall task tonight. And Sharp goes off, Musa Cisse comes in, and so his offensive rebound leads to possible points at the free throw line for Matt Morrell.
Well, listen, even though, as you mentioned, Florida's struggling in this particular game, there is a lot of time left in this game. 10 minutes, 53 seconds to go. A lot of time to get things figured up. Florida has to try to regroup, find a way that they can put together a string of stops offensively, come down, work the ball around the perimeter, try to get a piece of paint, and come up with a quality shot and chip away. You set your team goals. By the 8-minute mark, you want to see if you can get this game under 10 and see if you can get back in it. But it's going to have to work by moving the ball around, understanding the pressure, and finding a quality shot, and then strapping up on the defensive end.
And they have several more of those media timeouts. To your point, there is a whole lot of time. But after the Morrell free throws, it's a 17-point cushion again for the Rebels. Pullen finds the cutter. Flanagan gets up to turn that one away. That's Houck on the putback. Thomas Houck with his second bucket. So Florida sticking with it on the offensive glass.
Good job by Florida, sitting there and staying after it with the putback. But still, you find yourself down. Houck scores a basket. You jump in a little bit of pressure. Join them with the pressure. Turn up the intensity a little bit. Make Ole Miss a little bit more uncomfortable and not let them line up easy jab step jumpers like that. And Morrell is styling on you.
Matt Morrell feeling it. It's another 20-point game for Morrell. Clayton puts that one up with the right hand. Matt Morrell has 21. He had a 20-point game in the Memphis win here back in December. Turnover, Florida on this end of the floor. So there's the pressure. And to your point, it leads to a near basket. Looked like Clayton had that one. And out of bounds by the Gators. So Ole Miss takes it with 9:38 to go.
That was an opportunity right there for Florida. You had a chance. You jumped into your zone pressure. You picked up the intensity a little bit. Tyrese Samuel jumping into the passing lanes. But Florida just not able to knock down the easy layups. Still a lot of time left. Turn up the pressure and try to chip away. Too easy to bring the ball up the court if you're Florida, allowing Ole Miss to bring it up into the operational area without any resistance. Must turn up the intensity to try to get back into it.
It's been a shot-making clinic for the Rebels in this second half. Murray hoists. Cisse got his hands on it, another offensive rebound, and then a tie-up. Possession arrow favors the Rebels. So Musa Cisse with a couple of offensive rebounds after just checking in a few moments ago. Transfer from Oklahoma State.
Man, that's a situation if you head coach Todd Golden, you can't be played. Look at this. This is ball watching right here. 3 Gators around 1. Nobody puts a body on anybody. Cisse pulling up with the critical offensive rebound. Possession going back to the Rebels. Another opportunity to extend their lead. It's the little things. If you want to become a really good basketball team, it's the little things. When you're losing in the game, you got to take the physical punch on. You got to put a body on someone.
Oh, Murray, pretty finds. How about the no-look feed to Cisse?
And Cisse with an easy jam. But Florida's going to definitely have to make a little bit of an adjustment when it comes to the mentality. You got Cisse for the easy jam. That's when you have to set a tone. You got to put him on the free throw line, not allow him in to get an easy slam dunk of such.
Clayton offline of the triple. Houck bumps into Cisse and draws the foul. But they are like sharks just circling their prey underneath right now.
Look at this drop off as Cisse is able to handle it home. But that's a situation. You're hand logging. You're down. You're down 18 points. Cisse has the ball right there. Go ahead, reach in, try to strip that ball, hammer them, put them on the line, make them earn 2. You talk about a guy who's shooting 26% from the free throw line. You cannot allow him to get an easy tomahawk jump when you're down by double figures in the second half. Put him on the free throw line and make him earn every 2 of those points.
So, Richard, Musa Cisse just picked up his 4th foul. So he's been a menace in the paint. The last few minutes he checks out. Jamarion Sharp back in. So the other 7-footer enters the game. It is an 18-point hole for Florida. And they have 8:20 to try to dig themselves out of it. It's a reach-in foul on Haupt. On the entry pass to Sharp. That's the second on Haupt. That's the second on Pullen. Again, Florida searching right now. You know, one player we haven't seen much today, Riley Kugel, only played 4 minutes in the first half. And we haven't seen him since. Wow, Sharpness is everything there.
And that a prime example right there why you put your bigs on the free throw line.
Yep.
Here you are in a game, you find yourself down 18 points, you're in the second half, 8 minutes to go. I know it's game 2 in the SEC slate, but you want to continue to show what your identity is as a team. Continue to fight, continue to get better and better. It's a long SEC season. You're playing in a tough environment against a top 25 team who's playing really good basketball right now. But you have to continue to grow as a team, and some of it has to do with the physicality and attitude.
Samuel dribbled it off his foot. Ole Miss takes over. Just your average Wednesday night in Oxford. Pressure. Condon got his hands on it. Brakefield stuck with it. Sharp! The monster jam! And the foul!
Wow. Jamarion Sharp, the recipient of that unselfish play and one dunk. With the contact.
Lead, it's the largest of the evening for Ole Miss. Now it could grow with Sharp at the line. Threw down the monster dunk. Got fouled before the timeout. Jamarion Sharp, welcome to the SEC. I mean, this has certainly been his signature performance. Richard, there's still a lot of time to go. 6 points. You say, well, only 6 points. Yeah, but 6 boards and 6 blocks as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's being impactful in so many ways. And many of the players on this Ole Miss team, you talk about Brandon Murray has done a tremendous job coming in, playing sticky defense, blocking shots of his own, timely rebounds and easy putbacks when you need them. You talk about being stars in your role. It's not just their offensive player from the firepower positions, like from the guard play, but it's the wings who are doing a really good job defending, doing the dirty work, communicating on defense, rotating over, taking charges, blocking shots, diving on the floor, all of the winning plays. I believe that Ole Miss had their wake-up call when they went to Knoxville this weekend. They played against a team that, quite frankly, was just more physical. And there was clearly a point of emphasis in the practice of the couple of days that they had to be a little bit more physical, play with a little bit more sense of urgency. And the Rebels have done an outstanding job of coming out here and answering the bell with that tonight.
It was an unfortunate wake-up call a few days ago. And they started 13-0 with some signature wins. Now, remember, they rose inside the top 25. This Ole Miss team was ranked for 3 weeks. And as of last week, we're as high as number 22.
Well, they did.
And they ran into the brick wall, the orange wall.
They did. You know, and you talk about Tennessee, the preseason favorite to win the conference. But Ole Miss, prior to that, had not played any teams with any quad one, any of their quad one games throughout their 13 victories. So they were challenged with the preseason favorite on the road. And quite frankly, physically, Tennessee beat them up. But it's been a different show tonight for the Rebels, and they've responded very well.
Right, Ole Miss has got its hands on the ball quite often. Oh my God! Come on now, Jamarion Sharp. I mean, come on. Look out in the first row.
Look at this. Just take a look at it.
Not that way.
Now that's just what you call a rejection.
That's mean.
To the first row.
That is mean. So it's a new season high. 7 blocks for Jamarion Sharp. And again, he had 10 in a game when he was at Western Kentucky. You know, this is a level up now at the SEC. 7 and counting, and there's 7 minutes to play.
Well, they're definitely, he's taken his game up a level for sure, but, you know, outstanding job coming in off the bench tonight in a reserve fashion. Shows that adds to the depth that you want to have on the roster.
Well, when you look in the transfer portal and you see the tallest player in the transfer portal, also the tallest player in college basketball right now, Jamarion Sharp, you might think you have something. You're going to have something valuable there when you bring him in, and that's certainly been the case. And again, he goes out. Musa Cisse comes back in. So it's not like you really get a break. You get another set of a footer on the floor. Brandon Murray just limped off the floor for Ole Miss. He was kind of hopping around at the end of the recent sequence on the other end of the floor. Looked like he was favoring his right foot. Murray kind of hypnotized his defender that time, lead back to 19.
He did. He rejected that screen roll action and dribbled to the open side, but then got the defender on his back hip, changed his pace, and dropped a nice teardrop in.
Yeah, both Murrays have played really well tonight. Their decision-making key, especially Jalen's. Houck goes up, got it, and the foul. Now making Alex Condon. So Condon is going to the free throw line. Hey, if you're Florida, you got 6:20. And with a free throw here, would get back to a 16-point game.
Well, Condon has done some good things. He's had some matchups in the low post when he's been able to catch the ball just like this, spotting his defender, getting him up in the air, taking on the contact, and finishing through traffic. He's going to the free throw line and now be flirting with a double-double. But they seem to find something with Condon and his rhythm down low. And that's something they'll have to continue to try to build off of.
Cisse shares a moment with his head coach, Chris Beard. They embraced momentarily. Cisse just fouled out, Richard. So if there was a bit of good news that Florida needed, maybe that'll help. Cisse has been a rim protector tonight, along with Sharp. It's a 17-point game coming up on the 6-minute mark in the second half. Flanagan cruises into the paint, has to kick it back out to Brakefield. Brakefield on the attack again. Sharp stretching it, trying to show his range.
Yeah, I wanted to see if the big fella was going to stick him one.
Yeah.
Stick that!
Oh my goodness! This is getting out of hand. Jamarion Sharp. The lore and the legend grows tonight.
My goodness, you talk about Sharp. Check out, watch out. Last time to the first row, he said, put that one in the fifth.
I mean, but there are people ducking out of the way. That thing was a heat-seeking missile.
It was a volleyball spike.
Condon going back in there. There was another one affected at the rim. I think Flanagan might have got a piece of that. They are tormenting these Gators inside, right at the rim.
I'm telling you, that's a helpless feeling when you're playing against teams with shot blocking ability like that, and you're playing on the interior. You're catching the ball and have to make a turn and try to find where the rim is, and you don't know how to spot where the defender is. It's a challenge to do. You have to change up your game plan on how you're going to attack it if you're an offensive player.
That was an official block from Flanagan with another. This is 14 blocks. Sharp is a menace. I mean, this is getting out of hand now.
Yeah, now he's just showing out. See, that's what you want to see right there. 7'5", You want to play like you're 7'5", and he's doing just that.
Sharp got it. You can count the basket, and he's going to the free throw line.
Tyrese Samuel able to get that one to drop, but it's the alley-oop over the top to Jamarion Sharp. Beautiful execution. Sharp is bringing his A game.
14 blocks as a team for Ole Miss. I mean, you just mentioned it there where sometimes the feeling is helpless when you're going in. And at this point, if you're playing in a game like this, is it in the back of your mind? Do you sense it? You know it's clearly become something as this game is played out.
Well, you don't quit is what you do, first off, if you're Florida.
Yeah.
You're down 16 points. And yes, it does feel like you are getting beat by more than 15, but you hit a couple of shots and get some stops, and you can cut this game into the 10 points or even the single digits with just a 3-possession run. So it's a lot of ball game to play, but you have to continue to play the right way and have to hustle every single play and try to chip your way at it and see what happens.
Morrell, step back jumper, that's good. Matt Morrell has really turned it on. In this second half, he's got 23. He's 8 of 12 from the field, an efficient 23.
And tough shots. These are scorer shots. When you see one shooting step-back Jays from the mid-range, that is hard to do.
4.5 to go. And Ole Miss is very much in position to pick up its first conference win. And they would certainly be doing it in overwhelming fashion here at home. Zion pulling right to the rack for another deuce. So Florida has not been able to break it, maybe break through and get it back to that number you mentioned, around 10. Oh. Breakfield! Oh my goodness!
This man is going off.
And Sharp just sends that one away again. Jamarion Sharp has been a menace inside. Aberdeen kicks it back out. I mean, what's a clean look at this point in this game? Clayton, no whistle, and Florida gets a new 20. Zion pulling now. Goes with a floater over Sharp, comes away with the rebounds. He has been indispensable tonight for Ole Miss. There's been several. I still think there's one scarred fan, maybe, 2 rows off the court on the other end of the floor. I mean, he has actually had fans ducking out of the way. He sent a couple into the stands. I think I want to underscore the point, though, that you brought up previously. He's not just camping out underneath.
No.
I mean, some of these are chase down blocks. Some of these are well-timed. Some of these are after he had switched on to some guards.
Right. I mean, as a shot blocker myself, I understand the mentality that you have. First and foremost, to be a good shot blocker, you have to have an attitude. You have to want to go for the ball. But it's also understanding positioning on the court.
Yeah, Samuel. If you're Samuel saying, hey, and Todd Golden got teed up there on the end of that sequence. So Tyrese Samuel, you saw him there throw his hands up. He wanted a foul on that sequence, and so did Todd Golden. And he let Todd Austin know it. And Todd Austin gifted him a technical. So a couple free throws for Ole Miss here.
I understand the strong move by Tyrese Samuel, as he did feel like he took a little bit of a hit as he hammered that one home for the and one, but maybe a little bit too late. Definitely can see the frustration of head coach Todd Golden in picking up the technical foul. But that's the type of energy and attitude that you want to see Florida play and attack it. If you're Tyrese Samuel, you have the physicality, you have the athleticism, continue to attack and use your abilities to try to impose your will. A little bit too late, but it's something that you can build on moving forward in the SEC season.
What a wild second half. It's a nearly 50-point second half for Ole Miss, Richard. So this Rebels team, if there was one team where it just felt like, you look at those preseason rankings and sometimes they're misleading, but in that preseason poll, Ole Miss was projected to finish near the bottom. The media that cover the league had them slotted 10th. And that just felt like a glaring one that felt a bit low, considering the veterans that Ole Miss was bringing back. The veteran it added, like an Al Flanagan, who just scored again there. Some of the valuable pieces it added out of the transfer portal, like a Sharp, like a Cisse. So you're sitting there looking at that going 10th. I mean, this felt like a team that was likely to exceed the expectations, and here they are. They're on the verge of starting 14-1 with a pretty resounding SEC win, 2 minutes and 20 seconds away. Murray knocks it down.
Good to see Murray back on the court, knocking down a nice soft jumper. But you talk about the preseason poll, and a lot of times it's a field based on, how the coaches feel. It's not just a slight at Ole Miss, because the other teams that are picked ahead of them have veteran teams and had a lot of talent as well. So this is going to be a tough league. But I think this team did not really do well last year in the SEC, and it's interesting to see how they were going to do up under the new leadership of head coach Chris Beard. I think everyone has respect for him in the profession and what he's done in his previous stops. But to see him come in and immediately make an impact, getting through the non-conference slate unscathed, and now here they are in Game 2 in SEC play, and look like they're headed to a resounding win over the Florida Gators here at home. They're here to let everybody know that we're in the building too.
Condon trying to follow his miss. Handlogged and comes away with it. Aberdeen for 3. That's Denzel Aberdeen, sophomore from Orlando. And Ole Miss, they won a lot of those early season games very close. They beat Detroit Mercy by 1. They beat Sam Houston on this floor by 3. What excellent work, by the way. Oh, pay the man to say it. Hey, he's looking for his bonus this time of year, evidently.
There you go.
1:57 to go in what is surely at this point going to be Ole Miss's first conference win. Let's backtrack a few days. The Saturday loss to Tennessee, in which Ole Miss was down from really the opening tap. They were down 18-6 in the opening minutes of that game. They were down by as many as 30.
They battled back. They did battle back at the end of the first half and cut it. They gave up a wide-open three-point shot to go into the halftime at Tennessee to make that a 9-point game, 40-31. And they did some good things to weather the storm. But in the second half, the physicality of the Vols just really, really started to impose its will against the Rebels.
And did you think that was a wake-up call, perhaps, that second half, that maybe opened some eyes, players on this roster?
Well, as a player, players have pride.
Yeah.
No one wants to get beat in that fashion. And a lot of times when you're coming into a high-profile top 25 game on the road, you want to show how good you are, and you don't realize how good you are until you reach someone that might have the same type of talent and athleticism and experience as you do. And they definitely had the wake-up call, but tonight they were able to get back in practice, and you can see what they're able to do. But a lot of season left for both of these teams. Everyone have to continue to grow. By my estimate, I truly think that it's a wide open league. You've got a lot of really good teams, and Tennessee has shown that they have a little bit to be the class of the league right now by a little bit. Auburn has shown that they can be a really, really good team as well, and a tough team to beat. Kentucky in their youth has been playing well. Alabama, when they're shooting threes, they can beat anyone. So, it's a big-time game for Ole Miss, and now they see that they're going to try to join the ranks as well.
We got 100 plus inside the pavilion tonight.
And the last time that Ole Miss has had 100 in SEC play was March 3rd, 2001. And
Man, you haven't even come through this league yet.
But I've been watching this league a long time. Against Alabama, 2001.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
101 in a second half, Richard. This is astonishing. Ole Miss has shot 75%. 75% on the nose in this second half. They've taken 28 shots. 75. That's staggering number.
Well, it's been unselfish play. It's been turning defense into offense, getting out in transition. And when you're getting slam dunks from alley-oops and rejecting ball screens and driving open side for easy slams, I mean, it doesn't get any higher percentage of a shot than that.
Some of the walk-ons are checking in now. So, and to spend a moment here on the flip side for Florida, you know, I don't think this is indicative of how their season is going to go, perhaps. I mean, this is a high-quality team with a lot of good players on that roster. And tonight was just certainly an off night, to say the least.
Well, Florida is a good team. They have a lot of talent, as you mentioned. But they're going to have to get back into the practice court, do a little bit of soul searching, and find out what kind of identity they want to have moving forward. This was a game that Ole Miss was able to throw the first punch, the second, and the third. And they're going to have to go back and regroup and know that the next game is going to be a game that they're going to have to be much more physical, much more aggressive on the defensive end, and much more pressure, and throw back some of those opening blows to their opponent as well.
Ole Miss gets Vanderbilt in this building on Saturday before taking to the road where it'll face LSU and Auburn. And a couple of teams that have started 2-0 in league play. Ole Miss scores 100 in an SEC game for the first time in more than 20 years. A resounding 103-85